Hey everyone, and welcome to Say Hello to This Together. I'm Mark, and I'll be your host for this first episode. I'm super stoked that you're here to join us for a bit on your Sunday. I can't see your faces, but I would love to get a sense of who is joining us and get into practice of sharing via the chat window. So on your bottom right, you should see a chat. Make sure you're sending to all panelists and all participants, and maybe just tell me who you are and where you're joining from really quickly. Luisa from Colombia, I love. Greg and Shep, SF, Margot from Berlin. Hey Rafa from Sao Paulo. Samantha from Virginia, Kelson Peach, DC, Anna, Portland, holy shit. Ashley from SF, Zayed from SF. Oh my gosh, I'm missing people. Claire from Los Angeles, if I missed you, I'll get you again. Emma from the Netherlands. Hi Margot. Kate and Alex, hi lovelies, how are you? Catherine from Virginia. Mike from Berlin, hey Mikey. Hey Hanpan. Hi everyone. Ned and Ryan from LA. It's good seeing you boys. Good seeing everyone. So cool. Before hopping in, I wanted to set a little bit of expectation. So around the series, Say Hello to This Together is focused on this moment that we're currently going through. Our hope is to help everyone work through their feelings or at least some of their feelings in productive ways and come out on the other side more beautifully together. Every episode is going to marry practice, so real activities. So we'll be actually doing something during this episode with art. So we have music, spoken word poetry, and our real hope is, if nothing else, that this is a place for inspiration and community each week. It's brought to you by the Anywhere Collective. We're a group of designers, artists, activists, and we really believe that every space can be infused with magic. We usually work on physical spaces, but because of the time, we're getting a bit creative. So before we dive in, I wanted to share with you a quick poem. It's called Uphill by Christina Rossetti. There are two voices in the poem, so it's kind of a call and response type thing. And feel free to sit back and close your eyes. Does the road wind uphill all the way?
Yes, to the very end.
Will the day's journey take the whole long day?
From morning to night, my friend.
But is there for the night a resting place?
A roof for when the slow dark hours begin.
May not the darkness hide it from my face?
You cannot miss that end.
Shall I meet other wayfarers at night?
Those who have gone before.
Then must I knock or call when just in sight?
They will not keep you standing at the door.
Shall I find comfort, travel sore and weak?
Of labor, you shall find the sea.
And will there be beds for me and all who seek?
Yes, bed for all.
So I read that because that's how we imagine this space, like an inn, a place that you can come every week and bring your full selves, your tired hearts, whatever the thing is. And we hope that we can at least provide you with a little bit of rest and solace. So again, that was Uphill by Christina Rossetti. If that cut out a bit, feel free to look it up. It's a beautiful poem. So this first episode is called Create Space for It. And we are featuring one of my favorite humans in the entire world. Just one of the best humans, Jonny Byers on the cello. He'll be playing 2 sets. He'll be playing one here in just a couple of minutes, and then he'll be closing out the episode. So be sure to stick around. So the session is about 60 minutes, give or take. And I also understand that a lot of us are tired right now, so especially of screens. So if you feel like closing your eyes and not looking at the screen, that's all good too. The activity is going to be a little bit hard to do, but again, this is your space, your time. Show up however feels best to you. If you don't already, please grab a piece of paper or 2 and a pen. And we also suggest that you wear your headphones. We think it'll enhance the experience, but if you don't have them, that's all good too. One last thing, we're going to be using the chat function. So if you feel like sharing, amazing. I actually think there's real power in that. And not just for us, not just in sharing, but I think actually reading people's responses is a real kind of vehicle for solidarity and peace. So I do ask that you be brave and share if that feels right. If you don't feel like sharing, that's also totally cool, but I ask a few things. Please just be cool, be compassionate, be caring. It's tough to share, so we ask that you hold space for those people. This is a space of belonging that is most important to us. So before I kick it over to Jonny for his first set, I wanted to have you all check in with yourselves. So I just want to ask a simple question. You don't have to write it down. You can just think about it. But on a 1 to 10 scale, how are you feeling in this moment? Maybe a 10 is you're rocking it, you're in flow, you're in your heart, you're amazing, and you should share the secret with all of us. Maybe a 1 is you're down in the dumps. So again, be thinking where you are on that 1 to 10 scale. Are you caught in your thoughts? Are you present and connected with your heart? So take a second to feel that as you listen to Jonny's first set.
Ooh. Okay. That wasn't supposed to happen. Wow. We're going to have to come back to me, I'm afraid, because my C string just broke.
Johnny, it's all good. How long do you usually need to restring it?
You know what? Actually, I don't. It's fine.
There are certain things that we can't predict, everyone. One is C strings and one is technology.
C strings never break. Anyway, let me carry on because I don't need it.
All right, bro. Thank you, brother. And I'll give you a bit of time to go restring that. He'll be back at the end of the episode, so in about 30 minutes, he'll be playing another set. And again, thanks, man. I can't think of a better elixir during this time than music, so keep sharing. Cool. So today, this first episode, like I said, we want to create space for how we're feeling right now, however that is. And I think the key word here is without judgment. I really believe that the first step to healing is being able to call your emotion by its name and to create kind of love and awareness around that. Right now, I think it's safe to say that we're experiencing something together. We might call it a collective trauma. And I think the thing is with that word trauma is that it means different things to each of us, right? We experience it in different ways, and each of those ways is unique and true. So I ask that we all kind of consider our own experience of that and greet it, because that's all we really can do. So I want you to think of something that you're feeling right now. Maybe it's something particularly heavy in your pack. It might be weighing you down. Maybe it's taking you from a 7 to a 3 or a 10 to an 8. And I want you to write that thing down on the piece of paper in front of you without judgment. I just want you to write it. So again, what's something that you're carrying right now that feels a bit heavy or something you want to let go of? So for me, I wrote loneliness. I feel that I'm getting such rare glimpses into connection these days. And when I do, I'm smothering them, or it, the person, or the thing, or the moment. You could ask my brother, especially, what that feels like. There's a book that I love called Of Mice and Men, and in it, the main character, Lenny, he doesn't know the strength of his own love. And he has this pet mouse, and he ends up squeezing the life out of it because he loves it so much. And I feel that that's kind of me in this moment. I'm holding on too tightly and squeezing some of the joy and love out of those around me. And so I wanted to create space for you to share too, if that feels okay. Use the chat window. Make sure you're sharing to all panelists and attendees. What's the thing that you're holding on to right now that you want to let go of, if you feel brave to share? Janine, Haytala, insecurity. Fear. Rafa, perfectionism. Greg, sadness. Louisa, tiredness. Jessica, fear of rejection. Alice, frustration. Alex, my hangover. Samantha, shame. Loneliness. Paul, imposter syndrome. Anna, depression. Victoria, loneliness. Giselle, fear of the unknown. Thank you all for sharing. Joanne, resentment. Emmy, disappointing others. Andrea, loneliness. Alex, Ashley, volatility. Catherine, doubt. So again, whether you shared or didn't, all good. I ask that you kind of keep that with you during this session. And again, just without judgment. That's kind of the key. So now we're going to kind of get into some of the meat of this episode. We're going to start the activity. So I want you to grab your piece of paper. Hopefully you have one. If you don't, you can just use the notes section in your computer, no biggie. But what I want you to do is take your piece of paper and I want you to fold it twice over, like so. So you're gonna have 4 quadrants. Yeah? I'll even show you what that looks like. Maybe you write 1, 2, 3, 4, cool? So we're gonna start with the first quadrant. So again, we're looking right here. And we're gonna talk about roles, which I think we all play in life. Some different ones perhaps right now, but for example, let me give you a couple. Maybe you play the role of sister. You play the role of friend, of son, of loving partner, daughter, CEO, artist, self-lover, self-defeater. I think we play both real and abstract roles in life. So I want you in the top left corner, or in that top quadrant, I mean, to write your name and circle it. So you're gonna write PJ, circle it. You're gonna write Greg, circle it. And I want you to, around your name, take a few seconds to write all of the roles that you're currently playing. So try to list out as many roles as you're playing. And I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and we'll have people share back. So for people that are just joining us, we've got a piece of paper folded into 4 quadrants, where in quadrant 1, we're writing all of the roles that we're currently playing in life. Here's mine. Mark, I'm playing the role of son, designer, brother, caregiver, artist, activist. So again, take a second, write your roles, and then go ahead and share them to the chat. Shouldn't take much longer than a minute. What roles are you playing? Big sister, right on. What else? Mother, cool uncle. And again, these can be multiple roles, so feel free to list out a few. We're all playing tons of roles. Artist, best friends. Jonny, carer. Oh no, this is Han. Hey, Han Pan. Wife, daughter, cook. Greg, sounding board. Ashley, comic reliever. Relief, Rafa, storyteller. Mike, son, friend, businessman, uncle, leader, activist. Alex, father, husband, brother, friend, listener, soul earner, entertainer. Paul, friend, brother, new uncle. Zell, artist, friend, giver. Anna, patient, confidant, manager, cheerleader. Sister, daughter. Margot, sister, daughter. I'm skipping some, I'm sorry, but these are so good. Catherine, family clown. Kelsey, neighbor. Alice, maker, sister, daughter, friend. Margot, my friend. You were doing a damn good job of that. Thank you. Big sister, daughter, friend, mediator. So I want you all to look at this list and do one of 2 things, right? I want you to write a heart next to those things that are bringing you joy and levity, those roles. I like to call this their soul nurturing. And I want you to put a question mark next to those that perhaps are some of the time, but other times they bring with it other stuff, uncertainty, heaviness. So again, put a heart next to those that are soul nurturing all of the time, and a question mark next to those that are bringing some uncertainty. I love you too, man. So again, you're scanning across and putting a heart next to those soul nurturing roles, and you're putting a question mark next to those roles that bring with them a lot. They're soul nurturing part of the time, but maybe they're also draining and depleting too. And in your own time, I want you to choose one with a question mark, one that you want to get curious about. And I want you to bring that over to quadrant 2. So for example, I chose caregiver. Cool. So we're going to talk about quadrant 2 now. Everyone has brought a roll over. If you just joined us, I'll catch you up here in a second. So I brought over the role of caregiver to quadrant 2. Quadrant 2, I want to talk about something that I like to call superpowers, or the strengths that we bring to each role that we play. I think we all have them. But I think the really important thing here is, depending on context, we show up in those strengths in different ways. So maybe we show up in our full power, me as caregiver. I'm totally in my heart, I'm in flow, I'm supporting my brother and his partner and my mom and my dad, or other times, perhaps I'm feeling like shit, I'm weak, and maybe I'm overextending on that role. I'm putting too much pressure on them, or maybe I'm blocked from accessing that role entirely. So I want you to consider, when you're your best self, what superpowers are you bringing to your role? So again, you have a role in the second quadrant. I want you to ask yourself, what are the unique strengths that you bring to that role when you're at your best? I'll give you a few of mine in a second, just in case you're stuck. So just to give you some fodder, for caregiver, I bring perhaps empathy. I have a sixth sense when it comes to people's feelings around me, for better or for worse. I bring energy. I'm able to light up a room when I'm in my strength. And I bring what I like to call the magician's spirit, the kind of real life Amelie, or bringing maybe more magic to say my mom's life, as she's feeling very isolated right now. So again, these superpowers allow me to be a good caregiver. So be thinking about, what are those strengths that you have, those superpowers that allow you to be great at your role. And go ahead and share whenever you have a second. We'll give it a couple of minutes. We can probably run back that song for everyone. So make sure you're sending to all panelists and attendees. So I see Giselle, I believe it's generosity, full heart, love, lack of judgment. Anna sent compassion. Emmy sent vision, dedication, ideas. I sent, even though I sent it privately by mistake, caregiver. I sent empath, energizer, magician. Benny put partner, observation, compassion, empathy. Tala put positive energy, creativity, magic, studio moments, emotions, silencing a room. Louisa put curiosity. Rafa put compassion, purpose, ethics. Greg put sense of humor. Alex, humor, straight talking, problem solving. Gerardo puts clarity, levity, excitement. If I skip some of them, I see them, I feel them. And everyone go ahead and take a read at what people shared. So now we're going to move to quadrant 3, and I want you to look at the superpowers you just listed in quadrant 2. So maybe you listed 1 to 5. I want you to pick one of them and move it to quadrant 3. Probably one that means a lot to you. It might be your biggest strength, but maybe in this moment, you're having trouble accessing it. So again, we all have a superpower in quadrant 3. So I'm going to move energizer down there. So in this kind of section, I want to be thinking about all of the things that are getting in your way of living into your strength. So for me, for example, if I chose energizer, I can't energize others if I'm not making space to re-energize myself. So if I'm not taking time for self-care or self-love, which depending on the day, I'm doing either a great or terrible job at. And I think these days especially, that's getting in my way. I'm putting on other people's oxygen masks occasionally before my own. And so in doing so, I'm not creating space for how I feel. So that's really getting in my way. So again, quadrant 3, I want you to think about your strength. And I want you to ask a simple question, and I'll ask it a couple of different ways for you. 1, what's getting in your way of accessing this superpower? Another way of putting it is, what's a roadblock between you and your superpower? Or maybe finally, what's preventing you from being at your best within this strength? I want you to take a second and jot down all of the roadblocks in quadrant 3, all of the things that are getting in your way. You can write down sentences or words, just kind of brain dump all of the things that are getting in your way. Again, the key word here is without judgment. We're just creating space for these feelings. Janine said insecurity, always. Thanks for sharing. Samantha put my own biases. Thanks for sharing. Joanne put self-doubt, lack, mentality. Kelsey, my head, feeling of time slipping by. Thanks, Kels. Alex, baby care, it's all consuming. Alice, self-doubt. Giselle, not listening to my body. Rafa, distractions. Victoria, media, constantly being on, having to be on all the time, which we can so relate to. Isolation, lack of inspiration. Emmy, insecurity. Greg, being preoccupied. I'm right there with you, bro. Benny, fear caused by today's changes. Paul, listening to the thoughts versus listening to my feelings. Again, as I'm reading, feel free to scroll back through these and read all of these responses. And thank you all so much for sharing. Gerardo, scarcity, mentality. Ashley, being judged. Anna, emotional fatigue. Tara, complexity, time, or my perception of it. Louisa, blaming others for the shit I'm not dealing with. Benny, loss of persona, human contact. Margot, lack of reciprocity. Wow. Han, not being able to be physically close to others. So I hope I'm giving everyone enough time to share. If you feel rushed at all, feel free to go back to these at some point, or continue to share as I talk. But for the purposes of time and being conscious of your time, we're going to jump to quadrant 4. So quadrant 4, we're going to think through ways or things you can do to help you get back into your strength. So a great way of thinking about this is mantras, or things to remind yourself of, or I like the idea of like little rituals or little activities. So we're going to list out a few in a second, but before we do, I'll just share with you a little story, kind of building upon my superpower of being an energizer some of the time when I'm at my best. Years back, I learned a simple but like deeply profound truth, and I think it's a simple mantra that allows me to access my power more regularly. Not all of the time, ask those that love me most, but more frequently. And that's when I'm not feeling like myself, when I forgot my cape at home for the day, I call it by its name. It's as simple as that. I call it by its name. I say, Mom, today I'm not myself. I don't have that same energy. And I think when I acknowledge it for her and for myself, it gives others a window into it, and I give myself space to just be it. And I think sometimes that's all you need to do. You might feel better immediately, or you don't, but you at least give people a window into it, and you're kind of naming that unknown thing. So again, I want you to look at quadrant 3 and all of the things that are getting in your way. And I want you to ask yourself a question. What can you do the next time you hit one of these roadblocks? Maybe it's a mantra or a ritual, but again, just be thinking through and take some time on this one. What's something that you can remind yourself of this next week when you hit that roadblock? Samantha said, breathe first. Yep, it's very... Han said, give myself permission to feel. No emotion is good or bad. Margot said, rephrasing to create alignment in the conversation. For example, saying, what I understand you're saying is. So reframing or rephrasing. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Tara, you can't make sense of everything. That's okay. You're still valuable. Emmy, remembering that perfect is the enemy of good. Greg, think about the ones I care about most. Call a friend. Rafa, more continuity in my presence of being. Tala, think of why I started doing what I do in the first place and for whom. It's beautiful. Giselle, you are complete even when you feel incomplete. Catherine, between stimulus and response, there is a space, and I love that in that space there's a choice. Alice, believe in yourself the same as you do your loved ones. Paul, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, drink a glass of water. PJ, I don't have to be my best self to show up. I love you, bro. Andrea, breathe. Create space to feel and to process. Alex, remember that time is not finite. Change happens. Hang on to the important things. Focus. Let go of the noise. Benny, step back and focus on the larger picture. Remember that health, family, and friends are the only truly important things. Ash, zoom way the fuck out, she says, and remember what's important. Mikey, there is nothing but the now, and non-acceptance is the pain, not the feeling. I love you, dude. Louisa, self-care and awareness. Samantha, just accept what is. And if some of these you can't see, it's because they're going just to us panelists, so I'm reading them out loud as well. Just give you another minute or so, and then we're gonna kind of tie a bow on this and kick it over to Jonny in just a second. Jessica, remember, every flower was first a seed. Thanks for sharing. And also feel free to scan up on these and write some down. We'll even try to capture some of them and share them out. Cool. So, thank you all for sharing so bravely. I really do believe that when we read others' experiences, we're brought a sense of peace and solidarity. At least I hope, and I hope that you felt some of that during this session. I also hope that you take some time this week to practice these things, these mantras or little rituals. Here at Anywhere, we really subscribe to the idea that action is the chief end of existence. So there's no better day to start than now. So to recap this episode in one sentence, we created space for how we felt without judgment. It's as simple as that. I guess it's not that simple, but in a sentence, that's what it is. And next episode, we're going to focus on feeling the feeling. It's going to be led by Paul, who's also on this call. He's a warrior human, and we hope that you'll join us for that same time next Sunday. So a few quick final things before I turn it over to Jonny. First, again, thank you for showing up, for being brave and being present with us, taking some time out of your Sunday. That means the world to me and to all of us. Second, if you enjoy the music, we'll leave a way for you to donate directly to Jonny in the comments section. So again, we ask that you do that if you can. And if you enjoyed the experience, we'll also leave a way for you to donate to the Anywhere Collective. We would use that for our next physical installation whenever the world opens back up. And finally, and maybe most importantly, I just want everyone to remember one thing, and that's the more we care for ourselves, the more we create space for how we feel, the more we experience this thing together, the more beautiful will come out on the other side. So thanks, and I'm going to turn it over to Jonny, and I hope you enjoy the music.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you everyone at Anywhere for making all of this happen in this magic space. At the beginning of this, in my first set, you heard two pieces of music. The first was by a composer called Max Richter, and it's called Time Passing. And then I moved on, albeit in two sections, playing J.S. Bach's Prelude for Solo Cello from his first suite. These suites, they're dance suites, and they were written in the year 1717 in Germany, so just over 300 years ago. And this cello I'm playing on was made in Venice in the year 1730. So both the music and the block of wood have stood the test of time. So I'm going to continue now with a little bit more Bach for you from his second suite. This one's in a minor key. It's in D minor. It's a little bit more melancholic. And I just love how Bach weaves the musical lines in and out. It gives the music a real sense of being improvised. It's quite a journey. After the Bach, I'll play you two more short pieces, both of which remind me of birds. I don't know how the lockdown is wherever in the world you are, but here in London, the skies are so empty. There's no planes worth talking about. The roads are pretty devoid of traffic, and we can just hear so much bird song. It's magical. In fact, the other day, Hannah and I got up at 3 a.m. And cycled to the woods just to hear the bird song in the dawn chorus just before sunrise. It's quite magical, so I'd totally recommend doing that if you get the chance. One of the nicer things to come out of the last few months. So after I play the Bach, you'll hear a piece by French composer Ravel, his Pièce en forme de habanera, and then I'm going to finish with a piece by one of the most famous, wonderful cellists and composers called Pablo Casals, and it's his Song of the Birds. And for that one, I'll have a little backing track that I recorded here last week of me playing all the string orchestra parts as well. So all remains for me is to say I hope you enjoy the music. It's wonderful to know that you're all there all over the world. So sending so much love to everyone, and thanks for having me.